Hello again. I dare say that some viewers have noticed the way in which Muslims are popping up in all kinds of places these days in Britain and Ireland, in positions of authority as local councillors, police officers and doctors, for example. The fact that so many Muslims are seeking to take part in local politics is regarded by many as an encouraging sign that they are becoming fully integrated into our society. But there is a negative side to this trend. We saw this in Ireland recently when a Muslim councillor in the city of Limerick, Abu Kalam Azad Talukder, called for protesters in Dublin to be shot in the head. Clearly, his values as a devout Muslim were more than a little in conflict with those of the Western European city, the governance of which he was now involved in. There is too the risk of a kind of Freemasonry developing, whereby Muslims in public office or positions of authority help each other out, a kind of old boys network or nepotism of the sort that has generally been regarded in the last few years as a bad thing when operated by older white men. A jobs for the boys attitude, in other words. There are clear indications that something like this has been developing over the years, and a misconduct hearing into the behaviour of a police officer in London called Zanab Hussein underlines the hazards. There was a time when an officer in London's Metropolitan Police who tried to divert attention from a family member or friend who was under investigation by the police would have been regarded as a bent copper, to use the colloquial expression. This would have been seen as plainly corrupt and grounds for instant dismissal. Times have changed though, or at least they have where Muslims are concerned. This at least is the impression one gains from reading about the misconduct hearing for Zainab Hussein. I give a link to a newspaper article which reported this case in the Evening Standard. It reads like an account of something happening in another country. Hussein is an officer working for the Predatory Offenders Unit, targeting sexual offences and violence against women and children. When she found that her fiancé's nephew was due to be placed under investigation, she did her best to prevent this happening. She tried to delete him from the list of suspects. So far, so corrupt. However, the hearing was told of her tireless efforts to improve diversity and inclusion within the Met. The chair of the panel said, "In this regard, the officer has created local borough guidance with a view to making the Met more welcoming to Muslim officers, particularly during the Ramadan period." Oh, well, that makes up a little for trying to delete that guy she knew from the list of suspects, I suppose. Besides, she didn't know him very well, because it seems she had only met him once briefly in her boyfriend's kitchen, and as a practising Muslim, DC Hussein was not allowed to speak to male members of his family. What the bloody hell that has to do with the business is more than I can tell you. Nobody gives a stuff whether she's a practising Muslim. The only question is whether she behaved correctly or not. In the end, the chair of the panel decided that her actions did not warrant her dismissal from the Metropolitan Police, which I find extraordinary. It is perhaps less extraordinary when I tell viewers that the chair's name is Akbar Khan. Ah, now the penny drops, I think. This looked very much like one Muslim going easy on another, and one wonders if a working-class white policeman would have received quite so much sympathy and understanding as this Muslim woman. This is a minor instance of what's being observed in an awful lot of London these days, and it's making many people uneasy. I don't say that there was anything corrupt either about Zainab Hussein's conduct or about the conduct of the panel which looked into what she had done. It's the perception of the thing I'm talking about here. It looks odd that a Muslim should be passing favourable judgment in this way on another Muslim whom many people think looks like an archetypal bent copper. I think there's something that needs to be watched here.